Even though ClickUp's a large size, we still move as if we're a very small startup. Like we're still very aggressive, we're still very hungry. We still spend like we're broke, negotiate like we're broke.
The crowded space is always frightening, right? I'm assuming there were project management tools in the market back then. How do you attack a crowded space?
One, look, you gotta be a little bit crazy. I mean, everyone told us not to do this. We saw the mistakes they had and we really believed differently. We thought there was room to come in this space because with the crowded space, it does mean there's a lot of money there, right? You know, we live together in a house. So like, we had 5 a.m. stand-ups Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday. We work 7 days a week.
At what point did social media, organic social specifically, become like important to ClickUp?
Yeah, the first thing for me is just
Hey Chris, thank you so much for being with us here today. We're super excited to have a chat with you. We've been power users to an extent of ClickUp. I definitely would say the support team and the marketing team, we couldn't live without ClickUp. So it's exciting to have you here.
Yeah, I mean, we're power users for you as well. And yeah, I remember the first days starting ClickUp, I used to wear like our swag and our sweatpants, just waiting for someone to like, oh, I use ClickUp. And that took maybe a year and a half, but then eventually I was in the airport and I sat on the plane with someone who's like, hey, I'm a customer. I was like, yes, finally. We are getting somewhere.
Let's get them some t-shirts before we leave.
Yeah, I think we started noticing that last year as well, right? Yeah. The conference where people would like come in and like, oh, you know, we're using you as well.
That's when you're on
It's a really good feeling.
The best feeling.
It's a good feeling, yeah.
Man, like ClickUp has blown up. I mean, it's hard to talk to anybody who runs a business or somewhat related to someone who runs a business that hasn't heard or uses ClickUp. I'd love to hear a little bit more about how it was in the beginning and like the journey.
Yeah, so it wasn't always so easy. You know, at the beginning, it was just, there was 4 of us founding on the founding team. And then really we had like really 3 or 4 others who were there. One was like a contractor at the beginning. And funny enough, I'm speaking about this because we just got back from an OG offsite where we took the original 7 to the Dominican Republic and we celebrated how far we've come, still did some work together and, you know, planned for the future. But the way it started was we were in Palo Alto, we were living in a house together and it was really just going relentless. It was a pivot. We had originally started a social media app that was a competitor of Snapchat because back then they had these fatal flaws, right? Snapchat erased your best memories in 7 seconds. So we created an app called Memory. And I really thought that was gonna be our calling. We were gonna be the next Zuckerberg and we were doing well until Snapchat came out with Snapchat Memories and just completely ripped off the idea we had built. And it's a good lesson for us, but we pivoted and that's how it started. We were living in a house together and we didn't really know what to do after we basically lost a lot of our investment in trying to build that competitor. We had built this tool that we called Mission Control Center. And what that was for us was just a project management tool that, so we didn't have to switch. We were tired of like some people using Trello, some using Asana, some using Jira. So we built this for us and we decided to go to market with it. And so, you know, it took some time to build. We studied the market. We were in a house. I was our first sales rep, our first marketer. And the rest of the team was basically just dev and operations. So they were building the tool. And what we did was we built this tool called AppGator. And what AppGator would do is it would take all the bad reviews from all of our competitors. So anytime someone reviewed a 2-star of Asana or a 1-star of Trello, we would get that notification. And one, it would help us learn what to build and what to fix, what was wrong with the space that people were mad about. And 2, I could hit them up. Like, hey, let me give you ClickUp free. We hate Asana too. We're trying to fix that problem. And so that was like a GTM motion, but also a product motion. So early on, we were just building everything we could to try to stand out. Anything we could that would fix the problems that we saw. And the problems that we saw were that most people were trying to make you work a certain way. They weren't being very flexible. And since we were new to the space, we came in at a great time, at a time where people weren't shipping fast, they weren't creating new features, they were making you work a certain way, and we did none of that. We were completely customizable, fully flexible, and I think that's what kind of got us going.
Wow. So a lot of times, and we talk about that a lot, is that the crowded space is always frightening, right? So I'm assuming there were project management tools in the market back then.
Amazing tools. With
amazing
tons of
tools, right? And normally one would think that such a crowded space with amazing tools would not naturally be the kind of idea one would have.
Absolutely.
Right. So yet you still did it and still a lot of success. What is the contributor? Maybe the pattern to follow, like how do you attack a crowded space?
One, look, you got to be a little bit crazy. I mean, everyone told us not to do this. You know, Dustin from Asana came from Facebook. How are you going to compete? They have so much money. I remember so many of those conversations. But we saw the fatal flaws. Like we saw the mistakes they had and we really believed differently. We thought there was room to come in this space because with the crowded space, it does mean there's a lot of money there, right? The recipe that I would say is number one is being scrappy, right? I know that sounds very generic, but let me break it down. Two things we did that really changed everything for us, and that called being Scrappy. One is the first I told you, building that tool, that's Scrappy, right? Like that's getting us direct leads. That led to a lot of big deals, but that's something other people weren't doing. I'll give you a second example. We were always obsessing over the competition, learning everything we could about the space. So we were in every Facebook group, we were everywhere. And so I saw when I was in this Facebook group that one of our competitors was shutting down. They were closing their doors and they were not building an export. So imagine if I came to you guys and said, hey, your ClickUp, 2 weeks, it's done and you lose all your work. You lose everything you have. We're not building an export. You're freaking out, right? It's all your work you've worked on for years. So we went to our CTO, Alex Rukowski, and we're like, hey, could you build an export in time to export all their stuff into ClickUp? He's like, I think I can. Stays up, day and night, ordering Chinese takeout, chugging coffee. He builds it with like 3 or 4 days to spare. So I pop into that, not a bad size project management tool. It's called Productive. Pop into their Facebook group, say, hey, everyone, I know you've been terrified about losing your work. Follow these steps right here and you can export it right into ClickUp. We'll take care of you. We're happy to have you. And all of a sudden we onboarded all of their customers. We had way more. I had to go hire like 6 customer service reps and some account managers because there's an influx in customers at that time. So the first thing I would say is being Scrappy, like going out there and finding extra ways, doing things people won't do, staying up late, pitching ideas while you're at lunch with your team, at dinner with your team. We live together in a house. So like we had 5 a.m. stand-ups Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday. We work 7 days a week. So of course, when you're putting that many hours in, you're together, you're pushing, certain things are going to come together. Certain ideas are going to come, and then you have to really execute those. Secondly, you know this, but I'll give you the deeper part of the recipe is hiring. You really got to hire right early on. But now what I challenge you to realize is that you don't just go hire, like as soon as we got funding, we went and hired like CTOs of these major companies. I don't think you necessarily need to do that. I wouldn't even say they're necessarily better. They've gotten a little bit comfortable, right? They don't move as fast as you. I think you just got to go out there and find people who have a chip on their shoulder. People who are unconventional, right? Like hustlers, someone who's been through something hard. Because they can come in and they can give you their all and they can learn from you.
How do you spot that though?
I'll tell you how we did it. There's a couple ways. In the early days, what we did is we asked one question in every interview and it was, what's the hardest thing you've ever done? And you want to hear it. And if they have just some easy answer, probably not going to work out. That life's been too easy for them. But you have someone who's really accomplished something or really been through something very tough and they came out strong and they have a positive attitude about it, they're probably going to be pretty good because it's tough working at a startup. You know this. Like it's hard in the early days. We don't have much money. Very intense. You don't know if you can make payroll the next month, right? Like those days are tough. Not everyone can.
They don't need to know.
Yeah, they don't need to. But
it's done for you. It's not be done for us.
But sometimes it's good to put the pressure on them. The second thing we do is we just have them start coming and work with us. We'd have them come work with us because like anyone, you can give them a test and anyone can go like hire someone else to do the test for them. We'd bring them in and just say, okay, you're going to come sit in the office and you're going to work with us for a couple of days. We'll pay you for it. And they do that. And that's when we felt like they could be a good fit. We could see them in there. We could see how they worked, see how if they just asked everything, if they went and tried some initiative, went through things on their own, docs, stuff like that. That was how we did that in the early days. And now, still the same. We still kind of have to bring them in because interviews don't always cut it. Anyone can say the right thing, but can they do the right work? Can they think the right way? Can they move on their own? Do they need a lot of help and hand-holding or do they just dive in?
Interesting you talk about the office. Do you think you could have done it without a physical office?
Yeah, there's
Because
definitely...
a lot of companies, like including us, for example, we do it all remote for a variety of reasons.
Sure. I say it that way, but not everyone was in the office. Some we do through Zoom and maybe work beside each other. But a lot of times at the time we were in the office. So I'm referring back to the really early days. Right. And as we were in San Francisco at the time. And that was how we did it. But definitely we still do it now. And we had them come in on like long meetings or work sessions and we just see how they contribute.
That's awesome. Yeah, because we've been talking about whether the remote work fosters the necessary degree of sort of the startup intensity versus if you are in the office and you are able to kind of, be in each other's sort of spaces and collaborate. And we kind of have to be remote for a variety of reasons. Again, the cost of resources, the availability even, because we compete with the likes of ClickUp, to hire people, and you guys compete with the likes of Meta, there's
Jira,
always,
OpenAI.
So and we are very geographically dispersed. So we've always kind of thought whether that was, helpful or detrimental element to this all. But it sounds like you guys have had success in both.
Both. Look, and to this day, we have an office in San Diego. We're remote as well. I'd say we're kind of in the middle. But one thing I will push back and say is we do believe that magic happens in person. And what I mean by that is, again, we're going to hire anyone where they are. We want the top talent no matter where they are. Top talent will get work done. They'll do just fine at their home. But what we do is once a quarter, maybe twice a year, we fly out a lot of teams. And we bring them to our office together. We put them in a hotel. We've worked out a good rate with them. And for the whole week, they're going to stay and they're going to work together. And they're going to have some big projects they're going to work on. And we're going to still they're going to work during the day. We're going to take them out to nice dinners at night. We're going to take them to a Padres game. We're going to take them to a comedy show, cool things like that. But there's some ideas, there's some magic that happens in person that we still believe in. So we still try to get as much in-office work together as we can, but we don't cut anyone off or not hire them if they're not near the office. Like I live here and our office is in San Diego.
Any like maybe mistakes that you guys have made that maybe take back the time you would have done differently? I mean, granted, a lot of success, but you know.
Sure. No, we made tons, lots. I think hiring was a big one for us. I think early on we got some funding. We just hired, the top names from the top companies, and honestly, they didn't work out. A lot of them, not saying all, but a lot didn't. And I think we had more luck either acquiring and acqui-hiring or finding people from smaller companies that were still ready to grind. Because even though ClickUp's a large size, we still move as if we're a very small startup. Like we're still very aggressive. We're still very hungry. We still spend like we're broke, negotiate like we're broke. We still do all that. Like people hate negotiating with us. We got this guy named Jason Wooten who I used to work with at Cvent who we brought in. You don't want to negotiate with him. Well, maybe you'll see in about a month. Maybe luckily your prices are pretty fair, but if not, he'll be coming in.
Oh no!
No, I think it's for a lot of the but he comes in and negotiates almost every deal we have. I would say other mistakes we made were moving off, because we got bigger, moving off things that still worked for us. Like I think at some point we got away from doing, discounts and cool things like that because that's what they tell you to do as you get big. But we still notice that that's a good way to bring on new customers. So obviously you got to be smart and you can't go on AppSumo and give your product away for $10 like we definitely did in the early, like a lot of people did in the early days, right?
We did too.
Everyone did it, right? But it's a good way, but then you pay for it later. So I think there's
No
a way
shame in
to
that.
there's a way to do it. Let me think of some other mistakes we made. I think, oh man, I mean, so many. Just in
Like bad features maybe, like maybe something on the product side where you built something that wasn't necessary.
We've done is we're very aggressive. We've built almost everything, right? We have whiteboards, we have docs, we have almost everything. But I think you realize at some point that you can only put so many resources, so many places, right? So we might rush to release docs just to get it out, but then it might be another year before we get it to where it's like competitive in the space, right? As good as everyone else. So I think one thing we could have done better is maybe not rushing to, like not releasing the tool until it's really ready to go. That's just something because we're aggressive when we put things out. And another one, we really messed up our 3.0 launch. We set a date it was going to come out. And I think it took us like 7-8 months after that, right? So that's a big mistake. So on 4.0 that we just launched last week, we didn't say a word, just came out. We definitely learned from our lessons on being too aggressive on the product roadmap. We're still aggressive internally, but we will not announce them until we feel a little more confident because you just never know.
It was a pleasant surprise logging in, seeing that animation 4.0. I was like, whoa, I got to check out what's over here. Yeah, it was so cool.
Right? It's a fun way to do it rather than hype it up and then be late and everyone's like, where's it at? Where's 4.0? Where's 3.0?
No, we are in the same mentality of releasing perhaps a bit too early because we are in that sort of excitement and that rush to kind of surprise, to get this in front of the user. And obviously support team gives us a lot of slack for it, because that does come at that kind of expense of maybe stability issues here and there, a few extra complaints from the customers. Is that kind of the reason the rushing was a bad idea? Or is this more about like giving less completed?
Let me make sure I clarify. I still think the rushing overall is a good idea. And the reason why I do is because I think so many companies over fixate on like, if we release this with a bug, they're gonna be angry. They're really not as long as you correct them fast. So what we would do is we'd ship fast. And we didn't really have a bug team back then. So we'd ship fast and we still ship fast today. But if someone had a bug, we'd make it like a good thing. We'd say like, thanks for reporting that bug. Here's 2 months free of ClickUp. And I'll let you know the second it's fixed. And we hot fix it to the top, get it done. And I say, hey, here's your 2 months free of ClickUp. Thanks for letting me know. So people get excited. They almost became like our bug team. Like, I can get free ClickUp longer. So we started hooking them up and then people did a lot of them. We ended up hiring some who were really good too. Like really kept spotting and finding good bugs. Yeah. I just meant that like for some larger things that we've released, like a big feature, I think maybe in the future we could wait a little longer and make sure it's a little more polished for putting it out.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys are taking just as much sort of reasonable risks, with, did I hear you right? No QA team?
That was back in the day. We definitely have a QA.
Back in the day team. No, we getting that. So because I'm for the same reason, because QA team, as good as it is in principle, it's going to slow us down.
It does slow you down. And
we've been developing like processes on top of processes, including involving certain customers that are providing enough beta testing, improving processes internally. But yeah, it's quite unorthodox, quite extreme.
I think it's a small way to do it still, but we need it now for certain things. But I wouldn't say our QA team's massive by any means. I think we're trying to do some with AI as well. As much
I wanted to ask too, because a lot of our audience members are either brands, marketers who are in the social space, that they might be thinking either, hey, we need to start working on a broader strategy for social. At what point did social media, organic social specifically, become like important to ClickUp? Is it somewhere along the way? Was it early on where you guys realized we got to be on there? Or do you think later on, as you implement other strategies, it made more sense to start being more active on social?
So the original team, we actually used to work on a social media agency together in the early days. So to us, it's always been important. We've always known the power of good social media. But when it really became something that we focused on is kind of when, I moved off of doing sales and really started focusing full-time on content. And that's when I went to the board, because I basically have been really good at making bets. And I do this by watching B2C. When something happens in B2C, it's probably going to work later in B2B, right? Like I was doing influencer marketing like 5-6 years ago. Most people just started within the last 3 years in B2B. They weren't doing it as much, right? I really went heavy on it early and I saw a lot of success. And then now the bet that I made like a couple of years ago was that every company would have one creator who creates content for them consistently. And now I think it's even going a step further. I think everyone's going to have their own like mini TV shows. And that's what I have now. I mean, basically I'm running an operation that feels like TV. I've got actors, I've got writers, we've got writers' rooms. We shoot for 10 hours a day, once a week. It's a very serious operation. I think if you want to win in today's world of content, you got to take it serious. And that's why I do love using Vista, because there's a lot of pages I got to keep up with. I don't just have ClickUp. I got ClickUp Comedy, ClickUp Man on the Street. I got ClickUp Memes. I got a lot of different pages, and I even have other shows that I'm starting on the side. So at the same time, I like being able to manage it in one place and see everything's going on. So shout out you guys for that. You do make it very easy to see my stats and to make sure I know how well we're doing. That's been well scheduled, everything out. It's been super smooth. Any company not taking content serious is in more trouble now than ever, because with AI, almost anyone can build anything, right? So you need some type of moat. You need some reason that people think of you, and you need eyeballs. And if you're not getting that, you're probably gonna have a tough time.
A ton of our audience and our customers too use ClickUp too. So with the 4.0, can you give us some highlights of like the most exciting things, maybe two or three things that you're super excited about?
Yeah, the first thing for me is just the hub on the left side, your personalized hub, right? You can have everything right there as you log in. So, most of the time when you wake up, you go to work, you got to have your email here, another tab for your docs, another tab for your calendar, another tab for your goals. You don't have to do that with ClickUp. It's all there in your home page, right? So I think that's the most beautiful part that people are loving the most, is just this personalized hub that you design, that you make it work your way, and you set everything up. Second thing is having chat right there as well. Everything kind of starts with chat. But the problem is most people use Slack. So they're in Slack and they talk about something, and they're going to go back into their Google Doc or whatever else they're using. With us, it's different. I can be chatting and tell you, hey, Reggie, let's go ahead and get this done. Right from there, you can create a task inside the chat and you can link it. Or inside the project, you can have the chat, then you can have your list of tasks. It's all right there, so nothing gets confused. I think that's a really big plus. And the last one is the two letters that no one's ever heard is AI. I think we have a great job of implementing AI inside of 4.0, and the fact that you can talk to AI anywhere inside of it. So at any time, you can say, what have we gotten done in this specific project over the last 6 hours? Or, hey, there's a lot of tasks that have been logged. Give me a summary. What did everyone get done the past 3 days? Or, hey, here's this doc. What's the important things I need to know for my job? What's important for Reggie? What's important for me? And then go and take that back. So I think that's some of the really cool 4.0 features that I'm loving. And I almost forget because I've been using it for some time.
That's amazing. I mean, Vitaly and I were talking about how a lot of companies right now are overhyping AI. They're implementing things that people don't want. They don't care, right? Yeah. But I love seeing companies like ClickUp where we're looking at the workflow of what are our users doing? What are the things that we can do to either speed things up, to give them better access to data, to just like superpower them, right? And kind of in an agent or whatever it needs to be. So it's awesome seeing you guys work on that stuff.
Yeah, and that hypes me up for the next thing. We do have super agents coming out as well. The beauty of super agents with ClickUp is, like you said, most people have AI, they're being forced to use it, right? They got these crazy workflows that take so long to set up. So we wanted to fix that because we want agents to be simple. Like you shouldn't have to really build out the agent, make it complex. And with ClickUp, you can build it, but it's very simple. It's plug and play. Like I want this to do this when this happens, and you can set it all up. And we're connected to all the major models, right? So if you want to use Claude for part of it, you want to use GPT, you can. And again, you can just pay for ClickUp and you get all of them in there. So that's a great little plus. But the other part is that there's a lot of monotonous work you shouldn't be doing. And you shouldn't have to keep switching and dragging your files in. You just tag one agent. Create the agent, tag it, let it do its work.
Wow.
Awesome. Yeah, we've been also working on quite a bit of AI, and some of it is very much spirited in that same.
What's some AI stuff coming with Vista? I'm excited to see it too.
We have the AI summarizations within the inbox, sort of to help you respond. That's what the users are interested in, being able to respond to.
That's a good one for us. Like, hey, what's the main messaging in this inbox?
To summarize the entire conversation, identify opportunities,
Sure.
With that user, generate the response. It does it in your brand voice, whatever, you've come to define. We've done AI summarizations of data, instead of spending, half an hour trying to figure out the key trends. Mm-hmm. got a summary there. We are expanding AI in content. We're looking at some content generation, like images and videos. So yeah, it's an
that's
ever
cool.
expanding.
So you could create it inside of Vista. So hey, I need a design for 4.0 release.
Yeah. So if we can overcome the extra hand or extra head or whatever the side effects of all these image generators are, it's a work in progress. But yeah, AI is super exciting space, and we also like on the lookout for a lot of ways to automate.
Yeah, I love it. Again, we have a pretty massive operation, right? And I was glad I found Vista on my own 2 years ago. I've loved everything I've used in you guys. Love the features. I just think you have the best cost. So you get the most value. Most of these others charge a lot more, and you guys offer all the same things. So I never understood why more people aren't using Vista. That's why I speak about it on stage and everything else.
Well, thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate your time. I know we're running out of time here on the studio there, but I appreciate you coming by. I'm excited to have the whole team dive into ClickUp 4.0 because I don't know that anybody else on the team realized. I'm the first one who saw the animation. I'm like, I'm about to start creating a bunch of agents. Turn it on, man.
Turn on the workspace. If you need any support, let me know. I can obviously plug you in.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Yeah.